Let's talk about EJ. So EJ Johnson is running around here, got his foot caught in his mouth. The people was dragging him online. I don't know if it was so bad though, but I know there's just been this big debate that was going around because they said, I think they go by she, they pronouns. But so they said that they do not date gay men. They're attracted to straight men and go to certain establishments, go to straight clubs to hook up with men and even open up about some celebrity hookups. Didn't mention who the celebrity hookups were, but so EJ Johnson, the child of NBA star and NBA Hall of Famer Magic Johnson and wife Cookie, did a rare interview with Carlos King on his, what was it called, Reality with the King show earlier this week. And the TV personality discussed what it's been like owning their identity, having the support of their parents, and at this age in life, embracing the comfort found in presenting as a woman. I was trying to say it like Wendy Williams. These days, EJ doesn't like the he, him pronouns and is fine with the they or she. Now, they also went on to say that despite identifying as a homosexual, they are not attracted to a homosexual man. So the socialite, as you know, is known for being femme presenting, which they credited as helping them attract the straight men they prefer to date. Now, during the chat with King, the 33-year-old said that they aren't keen on using he, him pronouns to describe him themselves and prefer to just be referred to as EJ. So I do have that clip because I was like, we need nuance on here. I'm not going to sit up here and give y'all like the little cliff thingy and people cut it up and start running with their own narrative. So if you haven't seen the interview, which I actually watched before I went live with this episode, and so we're going to play the clip courtesy of YouTube. Hold on, because I got to pull it up. And once we're done, hopefully we won't have any damn ad interruptions. And then we'll come back and we will talk. Please hold.
The biggest storylines on your spinoff was, you and your sister liking the same guy.
Honestly, that is ultimately what got the show picked up. But also, in terms of the gender and
I haven't been to the grocery store in months because this delivery service offers hundreds of high-quality
sexualities and stuff like that. It was very important. Honestly, that is ultimately what got the show picked up. But also, in terms of the gender and sexualities and stuff like that, it was very important because that happens. You can, I don't attract gay men, and I'm not attracted to gay men. Like, it's just not a thing.
Tell me more about that.
It's just, I think like if you ask any of the girls, like they'll tell you the same. And I think they're just labels. That's why, like, I don't care what, like I'm dating someone. I'm like, I don't care what you identify as or what you call yourself, as long as you're happy being who you are. But no, but to be honest, it's like, that's why I don't go to gay clubs. I don't go to, gay things, because it's like the men that I attract are not there. And also like, they're like, they kind of like wave you off. You're just like, oh, that, hey girl, like, it's not, you're not in here, like the rest of us are. It's just, it's always, but I never really understood it until now, because before when I would go and I just was like, there's something about this room. It's like, it's almost like they don't want me here. Like I'm not really in it here because I'm not presenting as a man. I'm not presenting in that way.
And to be clear, the gay community room.
Yeah.
Your own community. Yeah.
But it's not like a shameful thing or just like, oh, they're mean to me. But it's like, these are not my men in terms of attraction. Now, if I'm just going to have a kiki, sure. But like, these are not the men that are interested in me in that capacity. I do that when I go to the straight rooms.
So, so has it always been that way for you in terms of when it comes to men? Has it always been what some people consider the straight guy always being the one that would approach you?
Or somebody who, has been intimate and dating, women for most of their life, or like up until then, for sure. Absolutely. It has always been that way, but now it's like even more so now that I definitely present in more of a feminine way, because also like, it's like my energy is that.
Have your newfound, not newfound, that's what I'm to use, has your sort of like, I like to call it a rebirth, because I feel like even talking to you now, you're like you said earlier, look, I know who I am. I love how I see in the mirror. I am shedding all of whatever I was there back then, who I am now. Has that cultivated a stronger relationship with your parents, or has it been challenging for you there too, just being, how you are now?
No, definitely.
Okay, we can pause it there because I thought he was going to go on with more stuff, but y'all pretty much got the gist. So basically, EJ said that they only attract straight men. I believe that some people will probably tell you that if you are messing with a man who is sleeping with another man, then they're not necessarily straight. I even think that T.S. Madison had said that when she was talking about the type of guys he did. I don't know if they're identifying as straight. There's probably other words that we could be using because, especially when I think that's what started with the conversation between her and Nene Leakes, because a lot of people think that if a guy is hooking up with someone who's still got, as T.S. Madison says, titties at the top and a dick at the bottom, that basically means that you are gay or queer, whatever the case is. And they're like, no, I'm not having sex with a man. On the outside, on the exterior, they see a woman, even though EJ giving Tasha KTs with this whole aesthetic. But but that's how they basically was saying that. Now, when I was looking at this whole situation, here's what I was thinking about it. I think this is a conversation because this is not necessarily a conversation that I believe gets talked about within our community, especially in Black urban queer spaces. This has been a thing that's been going on since I was growing up as a young butch queen in the 90s, where it was I was going down to the piers and I was going to Escos, and you would see like the masculine and the straight presenting guys who were hooking up with the trans girls or the girls that had titties at the top and dick at the bottom. And we've seen this play out in shows like Pose, where you saw Christopher Leone's character, can't remember what his name was in the thing, but his character was in love with Elektra because Elektra was feminine presenting, was giving you woman, but she still had the male's toolbox. And he was like, well, if I wanted a woman, I could just go out and get one, but you got something that little extra special. And men like, if you're a freak, especially, you get to go out and you get to have all those accessible and extra things. Now, I do feel like, Carlos King, you missed the opportunity to further elaborate on that, because I think a lot of times what interviewers need to realize is that I understand you have your line of questions set up and you ready to go, whatever. But sometimes the best interviews come when somebody gives you information and oh, wait a minute, and let's elaborate further on that. Like, I would have really loved Carlos to elaborate further on his dating life and where do you go to find these type of guys. And if you are dating men who like date the like of an EJ Johnson, but you don't be going around asking them how they identify. Because I don't understand. Like, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, I need to know, like, if you're getting to know someone in a more subverted way, in an intimate way, you want to know what their likes and dislikes are, what their attractions, what it is that is about you that they're catered to, unless you don't mind being a fetish, because that's what I'm getting from this. I don't think you really dating these people. I think you're meeting these people, you're hooking up with these men, and you're seen as nothing more than a fetish. Because quiet as it's kept, I didn't know you was out here dating anybody. I feel like you probably are somebody's little secret when you going back to their house, whatever, getting your cheeks clapped, and they go about their day. He also admitted, excuse me, they also admitted that they have covertly hooked up with one or two celebrities. Name them. I want to know who it is, but we already know you're not going to do that. But then I heard that TMZ actually outed EJ. So there was a lot of that. And then the article also goes on to talk about how Magic Johnson, when he spoke to Variety about the shift he experienced and how he came to accept his child, said, I had to accept who he was and who he wanted to be. He actually helped me get there because he was so proud. And sometimes it takes your kids changing the minds. If your parent is willing to open up their mind and accept their gay children and not worrying about what the neighborhood think, what the church think, with this one thing, with that one thing, it's like, love upon your child regardless. And I love the fact that he changed that EJ was able to change that about his father or their father. Excuse me. But in this whole situation, yeah, I really wanted to know and understand more about this situation, because I definitely feel like you talking about that you're meeting these straight guys, because yes, this exists. There are men out there that And let's call it what it is. It's a fetish. Y'all fetishize trans women. You fetishize, and I'm not saying that EJ is transgender, but they present themselves as a woman with the aesthetics and like a lot of the clothes that they like to wear. So I think he likes to play they like to play dress up. I don't know if EJ hasn't necessarily given an identity. They don't go by labels or whatever the case is. So I think they like wearing the clothes and all that other stuff. And so not only that, but it got a little crazier. So apparently Bobby Lights did not like what Miss Thing had to say and decided to chime in. Hold on, did I not? Hold on, because I know what it is. I gotta get rid of one of these. So yeah. Sometimes when you've been gone for so long, you forget how to do your own show. So yeah, there's this one. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let me try to make it bigger. We'll just have to leave it like that. So yeah. So Bobby Lights actually reacted to what EJ Johnson had to say, saying that he's not attracted to gay men. And here's the post. They said, "No, girl, the reason why you feel unaccepted in the gay community is because you walk around thinking you're a Republican white woman in her mid-40s with a vegan gluten-free chip on your shoulder." Well, damn, that sounds a little personal. But I'm sitting there thinking, like, does Bobby have a point? Maybe they met and you've kind of felt that, because I do agree that I think that since Miss Thing went on that Ozempic and lost all that weight, because remember, once upon a time you was a big girl, wasn't nobody checking for you in that way. Nobody was looking at you sexually. And the minute that y'all find ways to get that svelte body and you can fit in all the couture outfits and all this other stuff, a lot of you do walk around with a big old Frito on your shoulder and your nose up in the air like your shit don't stink. So there could be a lot of that vibe, but you also have to realize that Bobby Lights and EJ come from two different worlds. EJ was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's from the creme de la creme. He does all the elite shit. So they get to float in a lot of those spaces. Bobby Light come from the gutter. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you in them spaces when you're going down to the hood club and hooking up with the milkers up in there, whereas when you're looking at a EJ going on Raya getting a date or whatever the case is, those exclusive situations, or going into certain rooms that the likes of a Bobby Lights ain't getting into. I just think it's just two cultural differences coming together. So I'm thinking it could be that. But um I definitely feel like, Jesus Christ, it's like all these damn things is open. So the idea of all this weird stuff, because there was this one article that I came across. I was like, you know what? She's making a lot of sense. So shout out to Candy Commentary. They wrote, so Bobby Lights reacted to EJ Johnson saying he isn't attracted to gay men. And Bobby basically went off saying the reason EJ feels unaccepted in the gay community is because he walks around like a Republican white woman in her mid-40s with a vegan gluten-free chip on his shoulder. But the funny part is EJ never actually said he felt unaccepted. He said he wasn't attracted to gay men. That's two completely different things. What makes the whole conversation interesting to me is that you're watching two gay men who clearly exist in two totally different gay worlds. When I think of Bobby, I think of the black gay nightlife scene, the hood clubs, ballroom culture, drag culture, and even spaces where DL men might be present. Those are the same clubs I was going to growing up in New York City, Esquilita and all of them clubs. The whole ecosystem and Splash, the whole ecosystem during Urban Night, the whole ecosystem feels very rooted in the black gay experience. EJ, on the other hand, gives a completely different vibe. His world feels very much like the wealthy white gay social circle, very polished, very upper class, very removed from the cultural spaces Bobby is talking about. And that's not even necessarily a bad thing, it's just different. Which is what I was saying. It really highlights how being the same race doesn't automatically mean you share the same culture or community experience. You could even see that when EJ was on Carlos King podcast. Carlos kept referencing things in a very cultural black way, and some of it seemed to just fly right over EJ's head, which makes sense when you remember he grew up wealthy in the suburbs his whole life and carries himself very similarly to his mother, Cookie Johnson. It's actually fascinating to watch because it feels like a conversation about class, culture, and social circles more than anything else. But I'm curious Okay. So, that's what I'm thinking of that. I just think it's a whole issue surrounding like class and culture, and Bobby and EJ are not on the same playing field. He's not going in those clubs and the ballrooms and this and that. But I also wonder this. Are you going to these places like when you somebody you going to the clubs and they be like, "Hey, girl," and all this other stuff? I'm like, are you going to these places to hook up, or are you going to just have a good time? Because if that's your initial situation where you're just going in to just hook up with somebody, then um, I guess you're not going to find what you're looking for in there. Because yeah, there is a lot of femphobia and stuff in our community, and plus there's also a lot of masculine presenting gay men who love feminine boys. And so there are people out there that follow your tribe, but I'm thinking that EJ has a certain type of man that he's looking for. It's not just, straight men. They probably got to come with extra stuff too, like money. And even though you got your own money because you're a socialite due to who your parents are. So you getting a little allowance and you're well taken care of because of who your daddy is. He owns the Magic Johnson Theater. He's got a stake in the NBA, and he's got all these things going on. Wait, there's always going to be money flowing, so you're set for life. But I just would have liked for that moment that Carlos would have elaborated further on that, because I definitely feel like it is a multi-layered topic that it'll take a while for us to really unpack. But it definitely is. Yeah, it's definitely a heavy topic that we need to break down. But I think that this is something that's been going on in our community for the longest of times. But I think because somebody famous is speaking about it, and because we have social media, it has opened up this Pandora's box for people to kind of see our world, our vernacular, our lingo, some of the things that we doing within our community. And yeah, there's that. So I'm definitely curious to hear from you guys. What you guys think of this story? Did you watch the interview? What did you think of what EJ had to say? Do you think EJ had a point? Or do you think EJ is like this person who still has a little more come to Jesus moment that they need to get within themselves? Because now you're running behind men who kind of look at you as a secret or a fetish. I saw one person say, "Who trying to hook up with EJ?" Shade number one. And number two, y'all would be surprised why they said, "What straight man look for you, sis? Like, quit it." And I'm saying, who said, "Oh, Dahlia Sin, shady ass." Dahlia Sin, formerly at RuPaul's Drag Race. Another person said, T.S. Madison also said the men that date her don't consider themselves gay. Another person said, EJ, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Deal men are gay men. Well, I don't think you can speak for people unless you can have that conversation. It's a Republican white woman in her mid-40s has me hollering. So, um, I don't know. It's just talking about identity and all this other stuff. It's so complex. We're gonna be a whole day trying to unpack all of that, because my opinions on that is gonna differ from this next person's opinion. But I definitely want to hear from y'all, your opinions. Share them opinions down in the comments, please and thank you.